Hey there, Rohan here. Welcome to this video. This is a pretty spontaneous thing in which I'm just going to speak as thoughts flow out of my head. So don't expect it to be too smooth. It will probably have a lot of pauses and me just stopping for a while to recollect my thoughts. But that being said, let's begin. So, the first thing that you might have noticed from the title of this video is that it is essentially about me expressing my thoughts on Inside, which is a comedy special that Burnham released last year during the pandemic. And it very much speaks of those times of the lockdown, of being isolated. It speaks about the slow decline of Bo Burnham as a human while the world around him was falling apart. And it speaks of mental illness. It speaks of the effects that the phase of the pandemic, of the lockdown, brought about on our collective mental well being. And it speaks of so much more. I mean, there is so much to talk about this special. I can go on and on about it, but well, we have to start somewhere. So, let me start with a simple recollection of sorts. Somewhere around the 2010s, social media companies like Instagram and Facebook, they introduced this feature called infinite scrolling, in which you can just hop on to any of these platforms and just with a flick of your finger go on scrolling endlessly, and you'll just get more and more content to watch, to listen to read. And well, the main purpose behind it was to exploit our dopamine functions and our brain so that it was much harder for us to look away from our screens. And well, that's sort of when these platforms, which were really originally meant for us to just be spaces to connect with other people, to connect with our friends, that's when they became these all consuming, all these all consuming big infinite gateways into the outside world, in which you can literally follow anything that's going anywhere in real time. And so from these windows of the digital world, we started gazing outside at literally everything all of the time. And that's where wanted to start this with. It's the phenomenon in which our interactions, the way we speak, the way we move, it all sort of transferred from the real world to the digital world. And during the pandemic, the digital world wasn't just the easiest way to connect, but really for many of us, the only way to connect. So, in this digital world, which Bo Burnham explores in his special, you might have noticed that in most of his special, he is filmed with pretty sparse lighting, like I'm sitting right now. I mean, I've made everything dark and I just have a screen in front of me, and that's the same thing that Bo Burnham did. And that's the same thing that we all probably did during the pandemic. Just us being stuck inside a room with a screen in front of us. It seems pretty solitary and it gives a feeling of being alone, doesn't it? But really, are we alone? I mean, because beyond these screens that are in front of me, that are in front of you, there is an entire world that you can watch that is interacting with you in real time and you can connect with. In fact, when you think about it, there are moments where you and I might feel as if we are truly being exposed through these very screens and the digital world. It almost feels as if we are being put on a stage. And that's what Bo Burnham said as well. It's that feeling of being put on a stage, maybe on social media or in the digital world, which prompts us to sort of not be ourselves and present an entirely different facade to the outside world. Bo Burnham, in his previous comedy specials and even this one, would constantly remind us of that. Is that we are all performers in a way, putting up images to different people through the digital world and not really being ourselves. The song from Inside, White Woman's Instagram, a really funny song, one which humiliates and makes fun of these really typical Instagram tropes, is an expression of that. It speaks about how we put on a completely different mask when on social media. And if you might have noticed, somewhere in between the song, the character which Bo Burnham is playing breaks down and finally starts being sincere. And so, in this world where we are constantly being put on a stage, where we are constantly being asked to pretend to be someone else, where do we find escape? Well, Bo Burnham's answer to that, and one which all of us might agree to as well, is the world of content. And well, content, I mean, that word has really stuck with me ever since I have watched this series, this special. And well, so content, what exactly is content for me? I sort of view it as this generic tree of so much stuff, lots of stuff of media, which doesn't completely speak to any of our experiences at a deeper level, but we still go ahead and we watch it because it provides us with some sort of satisfaction. And for Bo Burnham and for many other artists who have spoken out about this, content is the most dumbed down form of media in which we are being presented literally everything in the same package. So rather than searching for true works of art, we are just looking at something which is meant to give us instant dopamine hits, something which is created by an algorithm, something which isn't really human. And in this world of infinite content, which Bo Burnham explores, he, I think, describes it perfectly well through a song which has stuck with me for quite a while now, which is Welcome to the Internet. In this song, he plays this circus ringmaster of the internet who is just providing you a whole array of things that you can watch on or listen to or read on the internet. And the song, it just sort of starts getting crazier and crazier, and it shows the power of the internet and how prone it is to radicalize things so easily. And well, in this song, of course, it is pretty it is pretty depressing to think about it, that what we watch, what we read, what we are influenced by, it may not be a true form of art. It may just be something that is made on purpose to give us a hit of dopamine, to give us a hit of satisfaction. In fact, I'm making this video right now and it's content. Although I want this video to be influential to you guys, you may never know. You might just be playing this video in the background while you're doing something completely different. And that's what Bo Burnham explores through a major part of Inside. he explores this world in which, okay, give me some time for recollecting my thoughts. Hmm. Yes, so Bo Burnham explores the world of infinite content. And so, what effects does content have on our mental health? Well, I remember an incident of mine that kept on repeating during the pandemic, which was I would go to sleep at around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. at times in the morning, and when I would wake up, I would find that my laptop was beside me. Some movie that I was playing probably the night before was still on. The lights would still be on, and the room would be messy. And I would get this really weird feeling, which is sort of hard to describe. And that feeling of being a bit miserable, that feeling that you can only get after you realize that you don't even remember when you fell asleep while watching that movie. It's the feeling you get after doom scrolling through Instagram for hours on end and not finding anything. It's a feeling that Bo Burnham describes in one of my favorite songs in his special as that funny feeling. And in this very song, that funny feeling, he speaks about the internet, he speaks about various things that are happening around him, but not in an enthusiastic manner. Although everything all of the time might seem like this utopian dream, it isn't. He rather speaks of it in this tone of resignation and just almost as if a singer is expressing his thoughts on the world around him falling apart to shreds. And so, well, that funny feeling. Now comes a bit of a difficult part of this video that I'm trying to make. In the slow decline that Bo Burnham has displayed in his special Inside, it speaks a lot about mental illness, and that's really what the world of infinite content has brought about on you and me and the rest of our generation. I'll be frank with you guys. I feel anxious. I feel stressed about the future that just doesn't seem in my control at times. And well, that that is that is something that we all go through, and none of us are alone in that. And really, I mean, are we to blame in this world where we are just surrounded by content which is made by capitalist companies and their algorithms which don't really care about us? What are we to do? What am I as a content creator, as someone who is actually writing these blogs, as someone who is making these videos that are going to be perceived as content, do in times like these? What can Bo Burnham, a person whose entire career is made because of the internet, that's the main reason why he became famous, and not just that, producing content is the very thing that helps him uh, put food in his belly and shelter over his head. So, what can artists and what can humans, what can we do in these times? It is a pretty daunting question, which Bo Burnham explores in many ways during the special, and you might not entirely find a definite answer for this. I too don't really know at times what to do as a producer of content. You might have realized that I had my last Instagram post for our music blog on around 11th of April, and I was supposed to post the next blogs for the week within 7 days, but it's currently 4th of May. That's clearly more than a week. And well, that's what I've been going through, these constant phases of questioning whether what I'm doing is truly effective or not, whether the content I'm producing is truly meaningful to you guys or not. And that's what I wanted to find an answer for. And Bo Burnham, through Inside, did give me that answer, at least to a certain extent. So, before we go to this answer and a bit of a positive light in which we can see inside and learn something from it, let me just switch on the lights maybe. It feels so much better now. Well, so the answer to producing content in the world of infinite content, the answer to feeling better during these tough times that Bo Burnham has depicted through his special, I think lies in one of Bo Burnham's songs and his entire special, in which at the end he poses us this question about whether we'd be able to do anything without an audience looking at us. And that very thing, guys, is the very answer to our question to feeling better in these rather miserable times. It's to make honest art. And what I mean by this is it should be a true expression of what you feel. It shouldn't be content made to please anyone else, because that's going to really do no good to yourself anyways. And well, making honest art, I think that's what Bo Burnham tried to do in Inside, and I think he has succeeded in a form, because he has managed to influence me and so many of you guys, I guess. And that's what I want to do too. I want to make honest art. I want to make this blog a space where we all can truly express ourselves, where we wouldn't care whether anybody watches what we are speaking, what we are expressing or not, but we are just rather freeing up ourselves and having this sort of human connection in a world which is very inhuman. And that's where I would like to end this video, guys, on this idea of creating, not creating content which is inhuman and digital and it doesn't relate to yourself or your deeper experiences, but rather creating art, meaningful art. It can be anything that you want, but something that speaks to you, something that you have truly made from the bottom of your heart, and something you don't care whether anybody else watches or not. And that's the idea I will leave you guys with, the idea of making honest art. That's it, I guess. Those are my thoughts on Bo Burnham's Inside. Definitely a must watch for you guys. So Thank you for watching this video if you're still here until the end. I hope that this was a meaningful piece of content. Signing off, guys. Goodbye.